Okay. The mental formation you have about that tree, the most beautiful tree of the university, you can put on paper. Whatever you remember about that tree, especially its shape. If you have colors, you may use colors as well. Because we want to capture the mental image of that tree that you have in your mind. You want to transfer it on paper. Okay, I can see some of you have drawn. It would be nice if you can put your index number as well, because some of these may be counted later for the participation marks. If you would like, you can mention when you post where it is. Okay, that's a very nice drawing and a very good way of transferring your mental image on paper. If you all can mention where you find that tree, close to which building or where you saw it, that would be great. Be aware that during this exercise, you are transferring what you have in your mind to the paper. Of course, colors may not be there at the moment with you to color it, but it's okay. At least the shape. Don't worry about your drawing skills. Mental image is more vivid, I'm sure, more vivid and more detailed, but the drawing may not capture everything. I understand that. In about 1 minute, we will close and we'll continue with the theory. So upload quickly. Okay, some of the trees I can remember. Some of the trees I cannot figure out where it was. It may not be because of your mental image being vague. It may be because of the drawing skills, and that's fine. Okay, we'll move on with our discussion. Right. This is what we did. We transferred the image which was in our minds onto paper. So what was in our mind consisted of a lot of details, isn't it? The shapes, the colors, the placement, the size, and everything is there in the mental image of the tree. So if you compare between your batchmates on that wall I showed you earlier, you can see that the personal likings are very different. Not everybody likes the same tree. That's one thing to notice. And not everyone carry the mental images that vividly. But every one of us have mental images of the experiences that we had. Experience of vision, then the sound and touch and everything is there within your mind. There are 3 words you can assign for that. Mental image is one word. Some people call it mental object. Some call it mental construct. Some may call it mental formations. So whatever the word, it is about what you had in the mind. Let's discuss what are the properties of these mental formations. You may have noticed that the mental object or mental construct is internal, inside the mind. No one can see unless you draw it. Then it's completely personal and subjective. It's not a common thing. Although about it, the same tree, the experiences you have captured through your senses have been different. That you can see by comparing with the batchmates' drawings. Then mostly these things are embedded with the emotions, perceptions. What is the emotion you assign to this particular tree? You considered it as the most beautiful tree. So the emotion you have attached to it is that beauty and happiness. Likewise, all mental images we carry have embedded emotions with them, and we carry those emotions as well. And these mental constructs are made inside the mind, and they have been created by you, not by anyone else. So it's a personal creation inside your mind. Therefore, that each mental image is fully owned by you. You are the owner, you are the author. And which means that any mental image can be changed or modified by you at will. You don't need permission from anybody to do that. This has later significance related to meditation. This, what I have marked in green here, is very important because you are the owner, you are the creator of each mental image and the embedded emotion with it. You can at any time change it or modify at will. You have that ability. And if you don't like any particular mental construct or formation, you can even erase them. There are techniques to do that in meditation. Okay, hope these things are clear. Although we use that tree as the mental image, there are millions, billions of mental images in your mind now about trees, buildings, places, incidents, and people. Large number has been memorized already. Let's do a few more experiments. And this time in this particular subject, where is the lab that you do experiments? It's your mind. That lab you carry everywhere, so you can experiment anywhere, anytime. Even this distance learning is not an issue for that. It's the meditation laboratory, your mind. So you can try anything in that. Let's do the second experiment. For a moment, close your eyes. Close your eyes, just 2 minutes. Then visualize yourself sitting wherever you are. Visualize that. While the eyes are closed, you may notice that your mind perceives your own body in the sitting posture, and also your chair, table, and everything in the room. Your mind has a map. And that map consists of a large amount of mental formations, so mental images. Then you can visualize your home. Of course, this slide says university, but visualize your home, not only the room, every room in the home and the shape of the home by looking from outside. See the amount of information in that mental formation. Then visualize your whole country, Sri Lanka. When I say the word Sri Lanka, what comes to your mind? Maybe it's shape, maybe it's a helicopter view. Whatever that has been embedded with the emotions, you can feel now. When you recall that mental image of the country. Remember, not everyone is recalling the same image. Images are different in different people. Then visualize your whole world. Okay, I am a human, and this is my world. Visualize Sri Lanka and other countries, the shape of the world, shape of the planet. See the amount of mental formations you have made already in your life. Then visualize the whole universe. Whole universe, this Earth, this planetary system, the sun, moon, everything, and up to the Milky Ways. See how much of mental formations you have made already about the universe. Okay, you can open the eyes. And you recalled what is already there inside your mind as mental formations. You may notice all these formations, large number of them, they are all internal, completely personal to you. They are embedded each with the emotion, happiness, sadness, or whatever. They are all made in the mind. They have been created by you. You are fully owning it. And you can change it or modify at any time. And if you like, you can erase some unpleasant mental formations as well. So meditation toolkit will help you to change, modify, or erase through a particular way of thinking, which means you can manage your own mental images and the embedded emotions with each image. Sometimes you can erase emotions and change emotions without changing the mental formation, other details like shape, color, everything. Okay, so you have an idea of what is the reality of this world. That we use the word manifestation of reality. What is really out there? Each of us have a perception through our living so far. So your reality is actually the collection of, the whole collection of all these mental formations that you recalled a moment ago. Mental formations may carry color, sound, and also the touch, the feelings, and the emotions, everything embedded into one mental formation. Okay. Just realize that you carry, as you walk, all these mental formations with you. So it's like a walking library. You may have noticed by now the whole world or the whole reality you have generated from your birth up to now is a concept, within the mind, consisting of a collection of mental constructs. And that will be continuously updated as the life goes on. And most importantly, remember, each mental construct or formation is having embedded emotions with them. So when you recall that mental formation, the emotion you can feel. So that's the nature of mental formations. So a mental formation consists of a few things like color, the shape, sounds, and smell, and the taste, and touch, and also emotions. All those are embedded into a mental emotion. Now, the important thing I want to mention here is that these mental formations you can change at will. I mentioned already, you are the owner. You don't need permission from anyone to do that. The way we do it is called mental volitions. You can see here, mental volitions, learn that word. And the mental volitions can be done at zero cost within a short time. What is a mental volition? We have to discuss now. Let me introduce that word to you. A volition in the mind is one of the primary human psychological functions. You can read about volitions later, but I'm summarizing. Some people call this by the word purposive striving. Purposive striving. What does that mean? They define it as a cognitive process in the mind by which you decide upon, you make a decision, and then you commit yourself to an action. Decide and commit to action purposely. That is known as a volition. In Sinhala, we call them chetana. Sometimes we call them by the word sankara. Okay. In English, we use the word volitions. These volitional processes can be applied consciously or if you continuously, repeatedly apply a particular volitional process, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit over a time, and that volition will be programmed into your mind. In meditation, we use these capabilities for changing our behavior. Remember, objective, general inner happiness, inner peace, and the good deeds. Okay, I hope the word volition is clear to you. This is what we will do. We will do an exercise by take one mental formation like the tree you had earlier. Target one mental formation and then change it to a different, a modified mental formation. Let's call it mental formation 2. And this transfer is what we want to achieve. And how do we do that? First, mental formation 1, you will have to recall. It's inside your mind. Then do the volition required to change it. And then keep repeating those volitions until this second mental formation is very vivid in your mind and you get absorbed into it. This is a little exercise we can do. Later I will see the meditation theory behind it. But let's do a little exercise. I hope it's clear. We start with a mental particular mental formation, and that could be associated with a certain embedded emotion. When you recall that, you will feel that emotion. And in the second mental formation, you may recall the same thing, but maybe through these volitions, here you would have changed the embedded emotion, or you would have changed the embedded colors, embedded sounds. Whatever part you want to change, you can do that. That's a special ability you have. Let's try that by a little exercise. Okay, our experiment 2 on mental volitions in the meditation lab. Meditation lab is your own mind, right? Inside the mind. This is what we are going to do. We are going to visualize a scenario and keep thinking about it until we visualize it very vividly and we get absorbed into it. Then in step 2, we change the scenario in a way we want. We make an attempt today, but later there are techniques to do that I will surely highlight. In step 3, we repeatedly think about the new scenario until it becomes very vivid and we get absorbed into it. Okay, one possible scenario we will try in this exercise is this. Hope you can see a set of very poor children. Look at them, look at their faces. Of course, you will feel an emotion. Identify what is the emotion I feel when I look at this. Once you keep looking at this, it becomes a mental picture or mental formation. And even without this picture, you can recollect them. Okay, now we are going to do a 5-minute exercise mentally. Okay, you can close your eyes. Close your eyes. Recall the mental formation or mental image of these children sitting there. You can recall their faces, recall their bodies, recall their sitting postures, recall what they had in hands. Slowly become more and more aware that your mind is now getting absorbed into this mental formation, the set of children, and you are absorbed means you feel that you are right there in front of those children. Okay, so we will try the second step now. Do an activity, a mental volition of giving them food, giving them clothes. Give them food, give them clothes, let them eat, and let them wear the new clothes you are giving. What you are doing now is a mental volition of changing this mental image that you have. Keep doing it, maybe multiple times, because you may not have much practice upon it yet. This may be the first time, try it. And visualize them with smiles. Their tummy is full of food now, and they are wearing new clothes. And they are laughing and they are very happy. They seem to be very happy. Visualize that scenario and you are there, you are right in front of them. and you will have some feeling about them now, a different feeling than earlier. Keep visualizing again and again until you get really absorbed into the scenario, until you feel that you are there. You are really there and really seeing their smiles right now. So this is scenario 2, mental formation 2. Identify the embedded emotion in that now, and you can slowly open your eyes. Okay, it is a little exercise of changing a mental image which I gave to you into a different mental image by certain volitions. What I wanted to explain is the volitions needed to change the mental image to a scenario like this. I'm sure the embedded emotion with this is happiness, contentment with this mental image. The colors became different, sounds became different, touch became different, and the embedded emotion became different. You would have noticed within a short time, the mind can do that. That kind of mental activities we call volitions. And the volitions, until you practice sufficiently, volitions may be very weak, can't achieve much in one volition. Therefore, what you did in the previous exercises, you try to repeatedly think of the new scenario, new formation, repeatedly think of the change from old to the new formation. That repeated way of carrying out the same volition again and again in the mind is called a volitional loop. Volition loop. That's the next theory part I want to highlight. Why do we do it? Because the rule of the mind is that you can read it. If a particular set of thoughts, particular set of volitions, I would say, are repeatedly engaged by the mind and more frequently used within the mind, the rule says that the mind and the thoughts will slowly bend towards that set of volitions. This is a very general and very common rule for all minds, all human minds. And especially notice this duality in the thoughts. Duality means if a particular bad set of thoughts are repeatedly engaged and more frequently used within the mind will bend towards those bad thought processes, bad mental formations. And if a good set of thoughts are repeatedly engaged and frequently used, the mind and the thought process will bend towards that set of volitions. That's called the duality. So good or bad is your decision, but this is the rule. This is a common rule. You can use the rule for good, making the mind peaceful, happy, and contented, or you can make the mind unhappy, unsatisfied, and that kind of situation, depending on what set of mental volitions you choose. So the meditation is that particular set of thoughts which will bend the mind and the thought process towards happiness, peace, as well as good deeds. Okay, each of us are sharing, each of us are continuously talking to ourselves. Of course, not loudly, but within our minds. That's called self-talk. Right now, you may be doing self-talk. I will try to highlight it by a picture, but it is happening within the mind, not like this. Thoughts come, and the same thought is repeated by self-talk to your own mind, and then it gets reinforced. And it might run again, get further reinforced. Likewise, this is called the volitional loop. Some people call this self-talk loop. And this is happening all the time. But if you don't want to reinforce a particular thought, then you don't need to repeat it. Then one volition, it will go away. A next new volition will set in. But suppose you want to reinforce something, then same volition need to be repeated multiple times until new mental formation becomes vivid and strong. This is what we do in meditations. So you got to be careful of what you are talking to yourself. I mean, inner talk. It is having duality again, as I mentioned. If a bad thought comes and bad thought is generated within and internally repeated in your self-talk to your own self, to reinforce that bad thought multiple times, then what would happen? You actually get engaged in a negative self-talk. And if this negative self-talk becomes practice, say every day you do, it becomes a practice and a habit, slowly you are doing damage to your own mind, because mind will become cloudy with stress, anxiety, dissatisfaction, and all that bad side of it. So which means we need to manage this loop and the self-talk. Then the rise of bad thoughts will be inevitable. You can see subconscious level and the cognitive level, two levels here. In the subconscious level, your mind has assumptions, beliefs, but when you engage them in repeated self-talk, negative self-talk, they become emotions and attitudes here. And they become bigger, they become stronger emotions and stronger attitudes. This is what the volitional loops can do to our minds. So repeated negative self-talk will make you unhappy, make you carry the burden of life, and make you see the whole world as a barrier. Others putting barriers upon you, something like that. That kind of thoughts will come. And it's like the pure mind is getting corrupted or contaminated with impurities. It's like pure gold. Now, what I'm showing you is gold, but it's contaminated with the impurities. So negative self-talk or negative repeated volition is causing this damage to a person's mind. Whereas the duality says that it can be done otherwise. You can start controlling this loop, becoming aware about it, and start controlling the loop in such a way that a meditation thought from the meditation toolkit is injected into the mind by force initially, and then let it run through the self-talk volitional loop. Let it reinforce multiple times in such a way that you can clear the mind which has been contaminated by bad thoughts and recover by repeating the meditation thought to yourself in the volitional loop. That positive self-talk loop will regain the pure mind or pureness in the mind, or pure gold in my example. The advantage of that is inner peace, inner happiness, and the contentness, as well as producing good deeds, as I mentioned earlier. Once purified, let's take this gold example. I'm making gold equal to analogy to your mind. Once purified, you know that the pure gold is so flexible and can accomplish, and an accomplished goldsmith can turn them into any shapes, any beautiful shapes he likes. The same way, when the mind is cleared of impurities by using proper meditation thoughts and applying this volitional loop purposefully, then the mind becomes pure and becomes so flexible. And after that, you can make your mind to be happy and contented as you wish, in return producing good deeds. So this is what I would do today. I introduced in the second half the mental volitions and the mental volitional loop, and we did few exercises to reconfirm. Since the meditation laboratory is with you, it's not in the university, it's with you. You can try these exercises before we meet again next time. Okay, this is what we want to achieve finally. I will stop with this comment, but I would consider as a developed mind. I'm sure you all want to develop your minds. That's why you are learning as well. A really developed mind is a mind which can see its own process. If your mind can perceive your own thought process happening inside, then the mind is a developed mind. This will not happen through acquiring knowledge. This will happen through meditation practice. Okay, so that's all for today. Next time we will move on to doing meditations. I will explain mindfulness meditations. Which are the mental volitions we talked about today? I talked about volitions and what it can do. But how these volitions can be generated, we are going to discuss next time with practical examples of meditations. Okay, thank you very much for today. We will end now. Have a nice day. And especially these days, take extra care because of the pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.